What is up, everybody? It is Saturday. It is October 27th, and it is 11:56 a.m. here, West Coast time. We are a little bit early today. Normally we start at noon. Sometimes we start a few minutes after noon. But you know what? I'm starting this early because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. There's actually a lot of news, a lot of notes, a lot of things are popping off, a lot of very, very interesting stuff, a lot of reviews of different things, just all kinds of stuff is popping off. And this is normally a shit show. You know, Saturdays are normally kind of cash, not a lot of news topics. Usually we're just kind of like twiddling our thumbs for the most part, but we've got crazy news today. So I am going to go ahead and dive right in, right off the bat. Talking about the first user review for Samsung Odyssey Plus. Yes, we do have a user review. This is on the virtual reality subreddit. This is Oliran, my Samsung Odyssey Plus review. And you know what? I haven't read this entire thing over and over a few different times. I've kind of glanced at it. Looks to be an absolutely glowing review of the Odyssey Plus. We've been waiting. We've been wondering what the hell is going on with this Samsung Odyssey Plus. Is it actually available or not? Because supposedly it was available on October 22nd, but nobody could find one anywhere. But this guy has found one. He grabbed one from a brick and mortar Microsoft store, and he's been playing around with it for the past couple of hours. He is a Rift owner, a Vive owner. He's even tried the original Odyssey, and he has his breakdown on this. And so I'm going to go ahead and we'll go over a couple of the points that he's talking about. For me, this is the most comfortable headset I have tried. Prior to this, I would say the Rift wins. The headset feels light and has good weight distribution. The foam material feels very high quality, and overall it feels more premium than either the Vive or the Rift. And then when he goes to the visuals, he says the sweet spot is much bigger and the image is more consistently clear, and there is no screen door effect at all. I've looked hard and I can't see any. If I really try to see, then I can see very tiny pixels, but only when staring at pure white. The extra resolution helps compared to Vive and Rift. The God rays are on par with the Vive and are much less intense than the Rifts. The biggest downside to the lenses, I clearly see the concentric circles from the Fresnel lenses. That's kind of a downer there. The audio is superb. The Rift has great audios, but the Samsung Odyssey Plus built-in headphones are really a step beyond. Tracking. Okay, here is where it all falls apart. No, it doesn't all fall apart, but this is the Achilles heel for the entire Windows mixed reality platform, is the tracking is not absolutely flawless. So here's what he's saying. Obviously, the controllers will get lost to tracking if you hold them behind your head. Tracking will also be poor in general if the lights are very low. Except for those two cases, the tracking seems to work great so far. So his overall impression, this is his favorite headset out there. It's not a generational leap, but it is clearly an improvement over all the current headsets out there. Of course, I'm guessing this guy has not obviously tried a 5K plus, and not only do we have this new trailer, but we do have a Steam page. We do have a release date, December 14th. The developer is Warp Frog, and Blade and Sorcery, VR, fantasy, sword fighting, it is in the house. Blade and Sorcery is built for VR, medieval fantasy sandbox with full physics-driven melee, ranged, and magic combat. Become a powerful warrior, a ranger, or a sorcerer, and devastate your enemies. And ouch, that would really hurt. If you got stabbed right there in that part of your back, holy crap, would that hurt? That would be painful as all hell. So yeah, this is Blade and Sorcery. We got a brand new trailer. We got a release date. This is December 14th. This does look pretty good. And oh my goodness, is it an assault of dungeon crawlers? Now, this one appears to be more melee focused, almost like Gorn in certain ways, in terms of how melee focused it is and how bloody it is. But this is much more realistic than Gorn. This is going for a realistic look. Let me switch over here back to the Steam page. And you can see, just looking at this screenshots, it's kind of got this gladiator style look to it, very similar to Gorn in that respect, but it also does have this medieval thing going on, and, magic, mages, sword play, all kinds of stuff is going on here. But, we do have that's an interesting shot right there. We do have kind of an overabundance of these kind of games right now. Now that kind of has that gladiator look right there, which is a bit interesting. We're kind of dreaming of the day where we can truly be a gladiator, very similar to the Gladiator movie, and maybe just as bloody as the Gladiator movie. And Blade and Sorcery is entering early access in December. So that is exciting, and it finally arrived. And you know what? I tried it yesterday. I'm sure a lot of you guys tried this yesterday. And I gotta say, man, this one didn't work too good for me, okay? I am not going to be coming away from this with a lot of positive viewpoints. Now, I gotta couch the whole thing and say, though, that these games just, it's not my kind of bag. I'm gonna be honest with you, not my kind of bag. Because here's the deal with Zero Caliber, okay? So the demo had a lot of hype. Downloaded the demo, got into the demo, and my first impression of it was you're kind of in this menu area and you're kind of walking around, and it has smooth locomotion and it's very fast. So you can get to where you're going very quickly. That's something I like. The smooth locomotion worked pretty well, and I really did like that. And also when I was in this menu area, over in the corner behind a glass wall, you could see some people were sitting at a table. They're kind of talking and stuff. And from a distance, in the very beginning, I was looking over there and I was like, wow, that almost looks like video footage, like of humans talking, like they're moving kind of realistically, and I'm seeing them from far away. And there was this one bald guy that was sitting at the table. Everybody else was like in military clothes, but he wasn't. And he was kind of moving around. I was like, wow, that looks pretty realistic. Of course, then I get a bit closer, and they're all definitely, computer animated characters. It's not full motion video or anything like that. But I was kind of impressed by that. And graphically, overall, I will say that I was impressed with the graphics of this game for the most part. I thought they were impressive. There is a lot of aliasing that is going on, a lot of shimmering, and I didn't actually get into the options and try to change a bunch of things around. So I'm not sure if you can change a number of settings. Also, I'm still not super sampling yet. I have not begun the era of super sampling yet. So maybe that could kind of take away a little bit of the aliasing. There is the shimmering, there is the aliasing on the edges of everything, but it looks pretty bright and colorful, and it moves very quickly and very fast. Now, here's where it all goes bad for me. Where this demo went bad is I was like grabbing guns and stuff, and I kept like dropping guns, or I would shoot the gun a couple of times and it would fly out of my hand. And this is one of these games, and again, I'm not the target market for this game. Like, the target market for this game is somebody that is absolutely addicted to Onward. They play Pavlov, they play Onward, they play Standout, and they're looking for this kind of game, and it is all about multiplayer for them. They want to be in a multiplayer game like this and play this, and this is their jam. And it's not really my jam. I prefer a single player game. I don't like guns that fall out of my hands, and I don't like having to like load clips and stuff and pull back the chamber and do all these things unless it's super easy and it's right there. And see, the thing that I've noticed with a lot of these games is you're dropping the guns, they're falling on the ground, you're trying to pick up the gun. But what this game has is it has inverse kinematics for your shoulders and your arms and for your full body. And when you're looking down, like if you dropped your gun on the ground and you're trying to pick up your gun, well, your body is like coming out here. You barely can even see your gun, and you're trying to pick it up and you're trying to grab it. I'm trying to grab my gun. I'm trying to grab my gun. It won't let me. Okay, finally, it let me grab my gun. Did anybody else have that issue with this game? Because I had that issue. But again, this is not my thing, okay? The other thing I'll say about this is it's 100% dialed in for HTC Vive players. Like throughout this menu system and throughout like the tutorial, it is showing HTC Vive wands, and it's telling you do this to climb across, you know, this little empty area here. You know, you want to grab the triggers or whatever. And I felt like just everything seemed off to me, and it did not seem like it was dialed in for Oculus Rift whatsoever. You guys might remember yesterday, Paradise Decay was in chat, and he was saying that apparently Witching Tower had been fixed. That whatever the performance issues, whatever the situations that were going on with Witching Tower, that it had been fixed. That very first time that I got in Witching Tower, it was not good. It was stuttery. There were lots of issues, and I was not a fan of Witching Tower. I was only a fan of the $19.99 price point, and I was a fan of the graphics and some of the production value, but there was just so much stutter, I couldn't enjoy anything. So I went back into the Witching Tower VR last night, and you know what? It really was like a night and day difference. It was a big change. So Daily Magic Productions, they've done something. They've gone in here and they've fixed something. The stuttering appears to be mostly gone. The issues that I had with it are mostly fixed. Now, does that mean it is all sunshine and rainbows? No, that doesn't. In fact, I made some positives and negatives about this game. Okay, so on the positive side, performance is actually quite a bit better. No more constant stuttering. So that's the big one right there. The other thing I'll say on the positive side is in certain spots, there really is some decent production value in this game. You'll do certain things in this game that will trigger a certain scenario, and you're like, wow, that's kind of like a AAA thing that they just did right there. But it's in bits and pieces. It's not the entire game. There's certain things that will happen where you're like, oh, that's nice. That's really AAA of you to do that. But it doesn't happen throughout the entire game. But there are some nice little spots of very good production value. And then the other thing I'll say is in certain situations, the graphics look pretty darn good. The graphics look pretty nice and pretty detailed in certain situations. Again, it's kind of a hit and miss. You'll be looking at it, you'll be like, oh, the graphics look really nice there. And then sometimes you'll look at it and be like, oh, it's just kind of average at best. And now let's go to the negatives. The negatives are, they fix that stuttering, but as I'm moving around this game and I'm using free locomotion, we were just talking about the free locomotion in the Zero Caliber demo. And in the Zero Caliber demo, you're moving around fast as can be, and you don't get stuck on geometry. At least I didn't notice that very much. But in Witching Tower VR, it does kind of feel like teleportation is the way the game was designed. And you can use the free locomotion, but be understanding of the fact that you're occasionally going to get stuck on some stuff a little bit, and you kind of have to back out of it and move again. Also, I will say the snap turning. Now, this one was really bizarro to me. The snap turning, and this is for me, so I don't know if this is for everybody, but it only worked if I was pressing, let me turn down the volume. I don't know if the volume is loud here on this trailer. But the snap turning, I would turn it to the right, and boom, it would snap turn. If I tried to turn left, nothing happened. So I could only go, you could only go that way, which is it was really weird. I don't know if that was just for me, some kind of weird issue that I'm having, or if everybody is suffering from that. but that's a pretty significant error because you want to be able to quickly bounce this way or that way with a quick flick of your thumb. You should be able to bounce in either direction and snap turn quick and accurately, and I could only snap turn to the right. Very weird there. The combat. The combat is still leaving a lot to be desired, in my opinion. I did get the bow, I got the sword, I've battled some of the skeletons, and graphically, you know, the skeletons are kind of cool because they kind of remind me of those old Sinbad movies. Do you guys remember those old Sinbad movies from the 70s where they had the animated skeletons and it was all stop motion Harryhausen, whatever it's called? You know, it was that old effect, right? And the skeletons in this kind of remind me of that a little bit. Now, the bow mechanics, the bow did not feel good to me, though. I'm so spoiled by In Death and by all the games that do bow right. Like Carnage Chronicles has a good bow. This is not a good bow. It doesn't feel good. The bow mechanics do not feel good to me. The sword is just pretty much hackathon. So, you know, you can hack at these killer dogs, you can hack at the bats, and you could hack at the skeleton monsters that are coming at you. There is some nice special effects and sound, and there's lots of voice work, so there is some good things going on in here. So anyway, I just wanted to report back on Witching Tower VR and say, you know what, it's a lot better than I initially thought it was from a performance standpoint, and it is $20. It's not super expensive. It is another dungeon crawler. If you've covered every square centimeter of Carnage Chronicles and Vanishing Realms and all the other high-end dungeon crawlers, and you desperately need another dungeon crawler, although goddamn, are we getting hammered with these things? We got Runes coming up on November 14th. It's kind of a dungeon crawler. And we got that other game that is the Blade and Sorcery, December 14th. So we just get hammered, man. When it comes to VR gaming, it's all about wave shooters, it's all about horror games, and it's all about dungeon crawlers and puzzle games. We've got a million of them. This is Borderlands 2 VR. I don't know if there's any sound. There is some sound. Okay, so this is Borderlands 2 VR. This is off-screen footage, and they are playing this on PlayStation VR. And of course, this is coming out December 14th, I believe, is the date for this. So we got Blade and Sorcery and Borderlands 2 coming on the same day, supposedly. A lot of good stuff going on in VR, guys. A lot of games are coming out. I guess PC VR isn't dead after all, is it? So Borderlands 2 VR, I mean, it's looking pretty good. Just, you know, the second screen is never like drop dead gorgeous beautiful, but looks pretty good here. I mean, we can't get much of an impression here, but I mean, it is Borderlands 2. It looks very colorful, and the gameplay looks pretty fast and frenetic. So this will probably work well on PlayStation VR. So I got to bounce out of here, folks. That has been our Saturday show. I will definitely be back tomorrow on Sunday. Be sure to go ahead and bounce over to the VR Roundtable YouTube channel because that's where I'll be at around 9 a.m. Pacific time. We will be doing some VR Roundtable, and Steve is going to be talking about all these things that he's been ordering lately. He's been spending a lot of money. His credit card has been active, and so I'm sure he'll be talking about that tomorrow. We'll probably talk about Witching Tower VR. We'll probably talk about the Zero Caliber demo, lots of other stuff like that. So be sure to check that out on our VR Roundtable episode tomorrow. And then this show follows about 10 minutes after. Usually we end up around 11 a.m. roughly, usually around that time. So probably 11 a.m. So see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy. Yeah, we will. We'll be talking about all of the Oculus kerfuffle. Yeah, we haven't talked at all about that. That's going to be the funnest part of our show tomorrow. The Oculus kerfuffle, ladies and gentlemen. That will be wonderful. I can't wait to talk about that. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Take it easy. Later.